Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News. Today we're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana drops 2 places on latest press freedom ranking as Reporters Without Borders cites poor working conditions of journalists, arbitrary arrest of pressmen as a key factors in Ghana's declining score. We have details for you shortly. Also, road users and traders at the construction area of the Obechebi-Lamte interchange expressed grave concerns over the stalled project which is impeding free flow of traffic. And the NDC flag bearer hopeful Dr. Kwabena Dufo says his reason for contesting the upcoming primaries is to make all Ghanaians prosperous since he has what it takes to win the 2024 polls. That's coming up in our build-up to the NDC May 13 primaries. And on Climate Focus this week, we explore how poor weather in parts of the Savannah region affecting fruiting of shea trees. Details plus business, sports, showbiz, well news are coming up shortly. Ghana has dropped 2 places in the latest Press Freedom Index, moving from 60th position in the 2022 to 62nd, and in 2023 out of 180 countries. Ghana has been witnessing a sustained decline in the press freedom rankings for a number of years now. According to Reporters Without Borders, Ghana's decline in this year's ranking is mainly attributable to arrest of some 3 journalists in 2022, declaring that journalist safety has seriously deteriorated over the years. Reporters Without Borders also cites the poor working conditions of journalists as a factor. My colleague Kwekwa Sante has details of that report in the following report.
Last year, Ghana was 60th globally. This time around, we've dropped 2 places, like you said. We are now 62nd. They have the political context. They say that although Ghana is considered a regional model of democratic stability, journalists have experienced growing pressures in recent years. To protect their jobs and their security, they are increasingly resorting to self-censorship as government has shown itself to be intolerant of criticism. In addition, a third of the country's media outlets are owned by politicians or by people with ties to the leading political parties, and the content they produce is largely partisan. That is the main argument that Reporters Without Borders make in terms of the political context. If you look at the legal framework, it says that although freedom of the press is guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, media outlets are free to operate as they like. There are significant concerns about a clause in the law that allows a fee to be charged if the information requested is in a language other than English. That is talking about the right to information law and how journalists are struggling sometimes to get the needed information.
At an event to commemorate 30 years of press freedom in Ghana, former GJA President Gifty Afenyi-Dazi charged the media to take its role seriously in highlighting nagging national issues, including illegal mining, corruption, and incompetence.
The progress in the field of freedom of expression is expanding. I believe there are areas involving the media that require a more sober reflection. The media has been given a responsibility by the 1992 Constitution of the Republic to demand accountability. Article 162, Clause 5 is explicit that the mass media shall uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people of Ghana. One shining example in agenda setting and the demand for accountability has been the work of the Media Coalition on Illegal Mining, or GALAMSEI, which was launched in April 2017. The media played and is still playing its role in raising concern about the dangers of GALAMSEI, which threaten our existence as a people. Subsequent development has shown that the beneficiaries of GALAMSEI are very powerful. and will not easily give up, irrespective of the danger to our water bodies and environment. On this occasion, it is relevant to remind ourselves that based on the happenings we know now, the agenda to stop galamsey should be treated as a major existential threat that should go beyond the coalition that first highlighted the menace. I believe all media houses should continually highlight the challenges until the menace is brought to a minimum. In terms of our developmental challenges, it is my expectation that the Ghanaian media shall develop a strong interest in economic management of our dear nation and demand answers to nagging issues including corruption and incompetence, which have the potential to roll back our advancement as a country. A major drain on the country's finances is the performance, or rather non-performance, of some of our state-owned enterprises. Instead of contributing to the nation's revenue, a high number of such enterprises continue to incur huge losses that are invariably borne by the taxpayer.
GJA President Albert Kwabena condemned what he describes as a smuggling of the criminal libel law through the back door. He calls for justice for Ahmed Swale, who he says accounted for a slide in recent press freedom ranking.
GJA, along with Media Foundation of West Africa, GIBA and Primpac, recently urged the government to amend certain provisions of the Electronic Communications Act and the Criminal Code, specifically Section 208 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960 Act 29. As critical stakeholders in the media industry, we cannot remain unconcerned as these laws are used to arrest citizens and journalists and prefer criminal charges over civil remedies for press and speech offences that are merely defamatory. The arbitrary application of these laws only serves to instill fear in the general populace. One of our colleagues, Noah Nati Dame of Radio Ada, was recently detained for 7 days on false publication charges due to these bad laws. And this has affected our 2023 World Press Freedom Index, our ranking on 2023 World Press Freedom Index. Ghana has moved from 60 to 62. 2 backwards. As the umbrella body of journalists in this country, Madam Chairperson, we will continue to ensure that any action or law that seeks to stifle free expression fails.
Formed in the last 30 years, are we proud of the current state of press freedom in Ghana? What is the future looking like? Professor of Journalism and Communication Studies, Professor Kwame Kakarin, Deputy Board Chairperson of the Rights Information Commission, Elizabeth Heron Asari, shared some thoughts on News Desk with MFR Power a while ago.
There is a lot of self-censorship, and if you have observed the media's functions from 1992 when the Constitution came in, self-censorship has become much more prominent now. The independence of the media in terms of their editorial judgment, editorial decision-making, has continued to slide downwards. And take, for instance, the state-owned media. What do we see from Graphic, GBC, and so on? Rarely do you see any discussion of a critical nature about whatever government is in office now. Okay. Whether it's NDC or NPP, the editors, the managers continue to self-censor for reasons that I don't understand, but also because of subtle, not very open ways of pressure from ruling party and ruling government on these managers of our media.
Okay.
If you ask the Minister of Information now and other agents, they'll tell you that they don't interfere with the state-owned media.
The media has a lot of role to play, and like Prof said, if we do not take the bull by the horns, then we'll be shoved left, right, center, and then we'll just be moving according to the dictates of the powers that be or those in authority. Again, I think that the media needs to sit up when it comes to the personnel that they employ to work in the media houses. You realize that because they're not paid well, you don't really get a lot of trained journalists working in the media front. And you realize that a lot of them are learning on the job. And so, like Prof said, instead of being very authoritative and being assertive, you cower because you are afraid of those in authority. But if you're a media person, if you're a journalist or you're a media person worth your salt, you'll be able to stand your ground and know that the Constitution protects you and know that there are laws that will back you. Like you said, the libel law is being brought through the back door.
Well, in the last few minutes, Spring Park has issued a statement with regards to Ghana's participation, and it's a dip in the Press Freedom Index. And it says in the political context, journalists have experienced growing pressures in recent years. They have increasingly resorted to self-censorship as the government has shown itself to be intolerant of criticisms. A third of the country's media outlets are owned by politicians or by people with political ties, and the content they produce is largely partisan. The government chooses the National Media Commission's members, but has no influence over the appointment of those in charge of privately owned media outlets. It goes on to give a legal framework which says freedom of the press is guaranteed by 1992 Constitution. Media outlets are free to operate as they like, subject to National Media Commission's regulations. The 2019 law on access to information authorizes journalists to demand information of national interest. However, a clause in the law allows a fee to be charged if the information requested is in a language other than English, a provision used to deny journalists access to the information they seek. Away from World Press Freedom Day, let's go to Parliament, because the minority says they have already kick-started processes to launch a full-scale probe into Professor Frimpong Boateng's Galamsey report. The report names top government and MPP functionaries and accuses them of complicity in illegal mining. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, Minority Leader Dr. Cassiel Atoforson says as soon as Parliament resumes from recess, the process will unravel for the probe to begin.
Raise questions over the clear links between illegal mining activities in the country and this international gold smuggling syndicate, in what looks like an organized crime. Indeed, clearly, the variations between reported volumes of gold that leaves the shores of Ghana lately and what is declared by our authorities lends credence to this fear. This House has been urged by the vast majority of our citizens to institute a bipartisan probe into this serious matter. We, on the side of this House, the NDC minority, support this call and shall take steps accordingly to activate processes for an independent probe into this matter in due course. So we urge you that in the coming days, don't be surprised to hear the NDC minority starting a process to constitute an independent probe into the Frimpong Boateng's report and that of the Al Jazeera investigative journalism piece that was aired on the issue of gold smuggling and that of Galamsey.
According to the minority leader, it appears the wanton disregard for Ghana's mining laws and the destruction of the environment has a full blessing of the state and President Akufo-Addo's government.
Issue that dominated public discussion and got many of our citizens worried about is our environment and the collective survival as people. centered around the leaked report on the state of illegal mining in Ghana today. The said report, which was authored by the former Minister of Environment and the chairman of the defunct Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, upon the request of the Chief of Staff to the President, reveals sordid details about the government fight against the illegal mining menace over the years. The ongoing indiscriminate and unbridled destruction of our forest reserves, natural reserves, rivers, and other water bodies in search of gold and other minerals has never been lost on some of us. Despite the acclaimed war against illegal mining activities in this country, this House has approved millions of Ghana cedis of taxpayers' money for the so-called president's fight against illegal mining. However, what came as a shock to many, and as confirmed in the report, the Frimpong Boaten's report, is the overwhelming evidence which shows the extent of official complicity in the canker. Indeed, this report has confirmed that the state itself gave its blessing to the wanton destruction of our environment and forest reserves. Unfortunately, the report indicts many in government and provides both material and collaborative evidence that this House cannot ignore.
Away from Parliament, shea nut cultivation serves as the main source of livelihood for many rural women in northern Ghana, but poor weather is said to be affecting fruiting of shea trees in parts of the Savannah region, a situation forcing some women to cut down the trees for charcoal. And this week's edition of Climate Focus, Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin visits the two settlements in the Savannah region to hear the struggles of some women engaged in shea nut gathering.
Yes, Nafisa Wahab and Nuria Zubaida worked in Ghana's capital city, Accra, as head porters carrying luggage to fend for themselves. But they returned home when they realized that the capital city is not a suitable venue to survive as young women.
I was carrying luggage to make some income, then used the small income generated to buy things and returned home. I was doing kayaye in Accra. Prior to that, I was hand-picking shea nuts. It was not fruiting anymore, so I had to leave for Accra.
Both in their mid-20s, they now live in their hometown called Sumpini and Kojope in the Savannah region, where everyone relied on shea fruits for survival. Like Nafisa and Nuria, almost everyone in the villages harvested ripe fruits for sale to earn an income. It is how they have sustained their children's education and maintained their families.
I was collecting the shea nuts and making some money. When shea nuts were in abundance, we could pick them for 1 week and process them to make 1,000 Ghana cedis or 600 Ghana cedis, which you can use for your daily needs. It's no longer there, which is why we are doing kayaye.
They are just two of hundreds of young women who migrate to the cities every year, hoping to make a better living. Before being processed, every shea in the world passes through the hands of 60 million rural women farmers whose lives, as well as that of their family and communities, depend on shea trees. For women in northern Ghana who hand-produce shea butter in their homes, it is a source of food, medication, cosmetics for skin and hair. But the women do not know why the trees are not bearing much fruits anymore.
The shea tree no longer bears fruit as it once did. This forces us to concentrate on charcoal production. When the shea fruited well, it provided us with financial relief.
As you can see, the tree bears no fruit. Yes, people live for greener pastures in Accra and Kumasi. Those who farm usually go there to work for capital before returning to farm. Women also go there to make money and then return to feed themselves because the majority of them engage in seasonal charcoal burning.
Human activities and bad weather have affected the tree's life cycle and productivity. Demand for lumber and fuel from the tree has increased. Among other things, residents of Sumpini and Kojope are now resorting to cutting down shea trees for firewood.
This is the main source of livelihood for residents here. And residents here say they have no any alternative than to cut down trees.
I have 6 children and I take care of them by producing charcoal. This contributes to meeting our most basic needs. Except for the charcoal production and firewood, I don't.
Road users and traders at construction area of the Obichebi-Lamte interchange have expressed frustration over the stalled project. The two-tier interchange, which started in October 2019, was designed to ease traffic congestion in the capital. Although the first phase of the project has been completed, the second phase has stalled due to the ongoing debt restructuring program. Commuters and traders who use the facility are pleading with government to speedily address their concerns. Joy News' Parkwisi Shandov paid a visit to the stalled project and comes through with this report.
This happens to be the site for the Obichebi-Lamte interchange, a road project which, according to the government, is supposed to address significantly the traffic congestion here in the capital. But unfortunately, the project currently has stalled. The contractor on site is no longer working. Of course, he says that he does not have the needed funds, and that has stalled the project. But the stalling of the project has now consequently resulted in a lot of inconveniences for road users and some traders alike. We are here to explore the extent of inconvenience and to gauge the challenges that the situation currently is posing here in the heart of the city. When the news team first arrived at the site of the stalled project, they were greeted with a cloud of dust. An inconvenience road users along the stretch say has been their experience since work at the site came to a halt. But the persistent dust and dirt is not the only hurdle faced by road users. According to some aggrieved traders along the stretch, the situation is also having a negative effect on their businesses, aside their health concerns.
We all are witnesses to the dust that we are really inhaling. So we are really appealing to the government to be able to speed up with the construction, because at the end of the day, although it's going to facilitate the transportation much better, we are also going through hell because our businesses are not flourishing as they used to be. Customers are not coming in. At the end of the day, because of the road, and at times the traffic too is too much. So they are not coming in, they will divert to other direction and they wouldn't come in.
My main problem concerning this construction is the dust. Because almost every day, you will not see the amount of dust you carry from here to home unless you are bathing. So the dust is too much. And not that always that the water that I used to water the road used to come. So my main problem is the dust. For the construction, we already know that they say that there's no money in the country, so they've quit the work that they are doing. And even the workers have all moved. But to be honest, the dust is too much.
The situation is really affecting us. Our health is presently at risk. Occasionally, the dust is sprinkled with water, but this is not enough to dilute the threat the situation poses to us. We need the authorities to address this issue immediately. That's all I can say.
Some motorists who spoke to the news team could also not hide their frustrations. The impact of the stalled project is not only affecting traders and commuters. Drivers have also been inconvenienced. Now, Kofi, you've been plying this particular stretch for a very long time. What has been your experience given the stalled project?
When the traffic is inside, there our fuel and this thing. You can take the person, you have charged him already, you cannot add anything again. You'll be in the traffic a while before. So it's affecting us.
Oh, akwane de ye ba ne hias ensuo to a e ma ye bre wa hapa wodum pemprum ho sei ensuo to a ye bre ene ekire wo se de ko secret ensuo to akwane nyina tutu ye ntumi kura te se ko fa no ho graphic road before ente ma ye bre wa hapa for that.
A worker at a firm near the site who spoke on condition anonymity further lamented how the situation affects business, especially during the rains. Speaking off camera, he bemoaned the decline in patronage due to the inability of customers to drive to the showroom due to the blockages caused by the stalled project. Like many affected persons, he also wants government to speedily intervene in the situation. According to the contractor on site, the stall in the project is a consequence of a lack of funding, and he says that until he's able to come by some resources, he would not be able to proceed with the construction. For Joy News, my name is Pakwesi Shandoff.
And on your election headquarters, NDC flag bearer hopeful Dr. Kwabena Dufo says his reason for contesting the upcoming primaries is to make all Ghanaians prosperous, since he has what it takes to win the 2024 polls. The former finance minister will, on May 13, face stiff competition from the front-runner John Mahama and Kojo Bonsu. Joseph Akabli of our political desk has more.
I've asked them to help me fix the economy. Right now, the biggest challenge we are facing is the economy. We are all hungry. We are hungry as people. There are tears in the eyes of Ghanaians everywhere. They should help me wipe the tears from the eyes of Ghanaians, soothe the pain in the hearts of Ghanaians. That requires a leader with the courage to change things, to change the status quo. That's what I will do.
The state of Ghana's economy remains a major concern to the man touted for his economic prowess. He comes into the race with a vast experience as a former governor of the Bank of Ghana and a former finance minister. He believes he can turn around the economy.
Every Ghanaian, no matter the birth of his or her circumstances, should have equal opportunity in our system to achieve whatever he or she wants to achieve. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That dream will bring about prosperity and happiness. That dream will make all of us become very patriotic. That dream will make us be loyal to Ghana, our motherland, not to any political party or to any individual. Because we're not loyal to our nation, because we're not very patriotic enough.
But this won't come easy. He'll have to first win the May 13 primaries. He'll face off with former President John Dramani Mahama in Kojo Bonsu. The Economist Intelligence Unit in its April 2023 country report on Ghana noted that the NDC can revitalize its prospect of electoral victory with a new candidate such as Dr. Kwabena Dufo. The former finance minister believes he stands a better chance.
I'll ask my colleagues to help me do that. No one person solves a problem. And no one person is big enough to do anything. That's why in the Bible, the Creator himself, when he was creating a man, said, let us create what? Let us. In the Bible, the Lord never said, I. No, he said, let us. He could have made man himself, but he said, let us create a man in our own image.
We're still live on Joy News today. We're coming to you from our studios in Kokomlimi. Let's take a break. When we return, there's very latest coming from the world of business.
Hi, good afternoon. Warm welcome to Business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Rana Motors, one of the leading automobile dealers in Ghana, has commissioned one of the largest state-of-the-art vehicle assembly plants at Amasaman in the Gam West Municipality of the Greater Accra region. The plant, which is under the government's Automotive development policy, will see the rollout of Kia-assembled vehicles of more than 3,000 or 30,000 vehicles annually. Speaking to Joy Business at the commissioning of the plant, Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors, Kasem Odimat, said his outfit will leverage on incentives provided by the government to expand more in the country. There is more in this report. This state-of-the-art assembly plant by Rana Motors brings the total number of assembly plants in the country to 5. This vehicle assembly plant can produce 70,000 units of vehicles annually. It's got enough space and planning to include more complex assembly. Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors, Kasem Odimat, said his outfit will leverage on incentives provided by government to boost its production in Ghana.
The auto policy being in place, introduced by the government, there are certain exemptions in place. Also, as the President mentioned, it is VAT rated as well, zero rated. So the prices are competitive because it is exempted from a lot of taxes. This makes it competitive with the other vehicles which are imported. And also, in the future, once the full implementation of the policy will be in place, also it will make it more and more attractive. Also, with the schemes that was mentioned, that there will be financial schemes in place set by the government and different institutions to fund everybody who wants to take a loan to buy a vehicle, and most importantly, a vehicle assembled in Ghana.
President Akufo-Addo said his government is committed to assembling 1.5 million vehicles per annum by the end of 2023, as projected by the Association of African Automobile Manufacturing.
We will continue to do our part to position Ghana as a strategic partner in helping the continent achieve the target of assembling 1.5 million vehicles per annum by the end of 2023, as projected by the Association of African Automobile Manufacturers, and to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is located in our capital of Accra, to exploit the bigger African market for domestically assembled vehicles.
Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Ghana, Lim Jang-taek, was hopeful the plant would enhance the economic cooperation between Ghana and Korea.
Moreover, I believe the assembly plant would become an exemplary case of an economic cooperation between Korea and Ghana. The partnership in the automotive sector should harness Ghana's rich natural and human resources and Korea's extensive technical experiences for expanding the field where Korea and Ghana can collaborate.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Michael Otribefi stated that the ministry is working to grow the automotive industry more.
The start of commercial production in the assembly plant is yet another milestone along Ghana's bold and ambitious journey to becoming the foremost automobile assembly and component manufacturing hub in West Africa, and a bona fide producer of assembled in Ghana global vehicle brands, which in itself is quite an important and worth celebrating feat.
Rana Motors says the plant will meet standards and the customer needs of neighboring countries, which will allow the export of cars from Ghana to other markets. Now, the Youth Employment Agency has pledged its commitment to reduce the unemployment rate by creating more jobs. According to the CEO, Kofi Japan, the agency has created over 25,000 jobs and will continue to partner various private sector institutions to create sustainable employment for the youth. He's been speaking at the official launch of the training and employment of insurance agents by the Youth Employment Agency. There is more in this report.
The launch of the 2-week intensive training of insurance agents saw various insurance companies in attendance. The move, which is intended to create over 30,000 jobs, is powered by the Youth Employment Agency in collaboration with the National Insurance Commission and the Ghana Insurance College. Speaking at the ceremony, the CEO of the Youth Employment Agency, Kofi Ejapong, said his agency is dedicated to reducing the unemployment rate in Ghana through partnerships.
Since the last 9 months, 25,000. And in partnership with the private sector, also we have about 60,000 also there. So we are trying our best to create jobs. That is the mandate of the YE, to facilitate, coordinate, and supervise the creation of jobs in the country.
Head of Reinsurance and Anti-Money Laundering Department at the National Insurance Commission, Esther Ama, said the training would not only boost insurance coverage, but the economy as a whole.
The insurance industry presents abundant opportunities for our youth. It is about time the youth avail themselves to the many opportunities therein. If 44.6% of working class in Ghana have one form of insurance or the other, clearly there is an enormous opportunity to fill the gap of the remaining 55.4%. Not only will the youth develop a career in insurance, but also serve the personal needs of the working class, as well as help build the national economy.
Speaking on the importance of certification of insurance agents, Director of the Ghana Insurance College, Richard Autry, said the move will ensure professionalism in the sector.
Insurance plays a critical role in safeguarding individuals, families, and business against unforeseen risk, adverse impact of climate and disasters. As such, we need trusted advisors or agents who will guide the potential insured by providing them with the knowledge and protection they need. It's essential to establish a standard of excellence that ensures consumers receive the highest level of service and expertise.
The theme of the launch was Building a Sustainable Future, Creating Opportunities for the Youth Through Insurance.
And that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo-Baka. Don't forget to make a date with us at 1 p.m. for our special town hall meeting coming up shortly. Please stay.
Let's do sports now. On a join news today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, athletics coach. Elon Aminako says that Ghanaian coaches are very good at developing young talents. According to him, he believes that with the right infrastructure, coaches will be able to develop many talents that will be able to compete at the highest level. He spoke on Sports Today on Tuesday.
I said earlier that, look, our coaches are so good. Like, they work on the athlete technically. They work on the athlete so technically before they get here. When they get here, the US program, the training program, are more concentrated on speed and power. So if you have some good technicalities before getting here, it makes it so easy for you to improve. That's what happened to Benjamin Azamati. That's what happened to Rashid. That's what happened to Botio. Botio ran 10.06 right now as a new PB for him. And the rest who are doing very well. So our athletes are good. Now you come to facilities. You know, the track that is in Ghana, I've been in America for almost 1.5 years right now. I've never seen any kind like the track we have in Ghana. I've never seen the like here. Even the high schools, the junior high school tracks are far better than our tracks in Ghana. Why am I saying that? You put a track in Ghana within 1 to 2 years, then the lane 1 becomes so black. Then it's going off. And the track I have in my school here, the West Texas A&M University, the track they said it's 16 years old. The lane 1 is the most used, but it still remains intact. There's nothing on it. So I just feel like maybe our tracks are inferior. Like, the kind of track we have over there is not the best. Now you look at Greater Accra athletes, they don't have any track. You know, so I'm someone that don't want to say that you need to move out of Ghana to get to the US before you'll be able to perform, because it's not everybody that will have that opportunity to get here, because there's a lot of things attached to coming here. Your academic first before your sports performance. And I'm not sure every athlete has that kind of academic background to be able to come here. So I think we need to start with infrastructure development, improve on coaches' technical know-how, and more especially, we need to have a standard weight room. When you get to the universities over here, the weight room for student is different, and then the one for sports performance is different, and they are well equipped to enhance sports performance.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. on my colleague Nathaniel Arthur comes your way with sports today.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here. On Joy News today now, it was a great time for gospel music lovers as gospel musician Eugene Zuta thrilled them with wonderful renditions at the launch of his 6th album, God Is. The album is made up of 10 songs and is part of his campaign against child trafficking in Ghana. There's more in the following report by Nicholas Ekoyama.
The God Is album, the 6th album, is part of Eugene Zuta Ministries and partners, including International Justice Mission, to raise awareness against child trafficking and also raise funds in the rescue and support of victims.
So I've been working in child trafficking sector with International Justice Mission for the past 4 years. And my work is as a church mobilization specialist. And so who better to champion the awareness creation about child trafficking in the Christian space than myself. That is why I added it to this album.
The event saw great performances from Kofi Kakari, Neo Kain, Sheila, Christiana, and the man behind the album, Eugene Zuta. Speaking with Joy News, West African Director for International Justice Mission, Anita Badu, says even though Ghana is doing well in the fight, there is more room for improvement.
There has been progress, but we are not there yet. There's still more work that needs to be done. You still talk to people who don't know that things like this are happening. And so it's important that we continue raising our awareness and we get to a point where children are being truly protected and they are not being put in this situation in the first place.
God Is aims to encourage Ghanaians to affirm their faith in a God who is present in all seasons. It comes on the back of the COVID-19 pandemic, which, according to him, dealt a deadly blow to many, leading them to question their faith. Nicholas Ekoyama's report for Joy News.
That'll be all for Showbiz here on Joy News today. There's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Also, when you log on to myjoyonline.com/entertainment, you find all the entertainment news there. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
And definitely, good afternoon, beautiful Becky. If you get onto myjoyonline.com, there's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.